You can't keep your kids wrapped in cotton wool. The kids of today are overprotected. Let them roam a bit, take a few risks. We did, say the older generation, and we're none the worse for it. All this is true, but there always will be kids who are the worse for it. Thankfully, only a very small percentage. Kids should be allowed to explore the world, but parents must do their best to prepare them for a lifetime of risk-taking. That's what life is all about, isn't it? And that's the subject of today's story, Terra Incognita by Maureen Mitson. I'm Kim Dodsworth, Queensland storyteller. The twins were arguing about what to do. Let's do it. Let's tackle Incognita. They scrambled up from their bedroom carpet, two identical 10-year-olds, red-haired, pale-skinned boys with big green eyes fringed by long black eyelashes and, more often than not, happy, toothy grins. Terra Incognita was their father's name for the big traffic roundabout at the junction of two main roads near the boys' school. Dad said the roundabout was an untidy disgrace because its bushes were an overgrown tangle and causing blind spots for traffic. The wrought iron lettering on the low ornamental stretch of wall spelled the name of the local authority, once. A tall and shaggy bottlebrush tree dominated its centre, and this was surrounded by lush and overgrown bushes and shrubs. To the boys who circled round it every school day in the bus, it was a secret island, a hint of adventure waiting to be explored. When Alex asked his dad why such a big space wasn't used for anything, Dad said it was. It's there to keep the traffic flowing. Things go round it, not on it. The roundabout received minimal attention from council. The overgrown greenery was spared the regular pruning of more accessible sites. In the twins' eyes, it was a jungle, an island of secrets, a haunt for rare birds and animals. They yearned to explore it and make wonderful discoveries to tell to their mates. Then, on their 10th birthday, they decided that attaining double figures was, for double brothers, one of the rites of passage quoted by their teacher. They stuffed a backpack with some chips, a bottle of water, and their trusty soccer ball. Mum helped and smiled. "Not too late now," she cautioned. Grinning to each other, they headed for the main road. Crossing it was easier than they'd hoped. They tumbled over the roundabout's concrete curb and into their secret world. "We've done it!" Laughing together, they pushed through the outer shrubs to reach the back of the brick display wall. Backs against the stones, in a patch of sunlight, they ate their packs of corn chips. They were conquerors, like Burke and Wills. They were rapturous at their success. "It's a secret world, like Narnia," Aaron sang, "and nobody knows we're here." Alex headed towards the shaggy bottlebrush right in the middle. Much of the shrubbery was tangled over layers of crackly leaf litter, causing him to stumble once or twice, and an oleander bush he'd never seen from the road had to be carefully pushed aside. Near the bottlebrush he found a little space wide enough for him to swipe all the sticky spider webs and dry leaves off his shorts. He looked up through the canopy. Lots of footholds. Yay, beauty! Starting his climb, he watched a bevy of little honey-eaters scrounge for nectar from the crimson flowers. A tiny mouse scuttled from under some leaf litter. Alex liked the idea that little native animals could live here and be safe. He yelled to his brother, "Aaron, the road's like a moat around a castle." Aaron yelled back, "And no drawbridge." Aaron was still by the little wall. He finished his bag of chips and listened to Alex's progress up the bottlebrush tree. He could see one of its branches shaking, and he grinned. He rumpled the chips bag into the backpack, then turned around on his heels. He could almost see over the curved masonry wall. He scrambled up its brick facing. "Hey, Alex, the road's near enough, but it's so quiet here." From up higher came his brother's voice. "Az, you got to climb this. I can see everything." Aaron was peering at the other side of the little wall. "Just bits of wobbly old letters." "Oi, what's that?" Tucked behind a branch and hanging by a chain was what looked like a rusty tin box. This had to be investigated properly. Could be a spy's letterbox. Spies and terrorists were everywhere. It was on the TV. He leaned even further over. "Hey, Alex, it's that old light. Solar. The one Dad said died years ago." The dirty, mossy bulb inside was covered in waxy spider webs and some old wire. This wasn't risky like electricity. Everyone knew that solar was only the sun's energy and quite safe. Tongue between his teeth, trying to retain his balance, he stretched his arm to reach the old lid. It wobbled a bit, but he wiggled his fingers inside and grasped something that felt like a handle. He gave it an exploratory tug. A brilliant flash of light seared his eyes. Excruciating pain knifed through his body. He arched upwards, his outstretched hand still clasping the wire. When he hit the ground, he was beyond all feeling. Sparks hissed from the broken connection on the other side of the wall. Aaron didn't see them. His wide-open eyes were beyond registering any light at all. A blue flame danced along the ground and set alight some leaf litter. Aaron's arm was outstretched, his blackened fingers still grasping the long wire he'd dragged from the box. Alex was peeking carefully into a bird's nest when the explosion of light and a strangled scream penetrated his consciousness. He tumbled down the tree, calling loudly for his brother. A pair of startled green parrots flew towards him where his brother was. He forced his way back through the oleander. "Aaron! Az! You okay? Az!" Aaron was lying on the leaf litter. His eyes stared, unseeing. His face was blackened. Little puffs of smoke and a smell like burning toast came from the dry leaves under his head. Sobbing loudly, Alex threw himself at his twin. To help him, to protect him, to be with him. Innocently, he provided another conduit for the escaping charge of electricity. He had no chance to scream. His sobs were choked into silence. His teeth clenched and bit through his tongue as his lips snarled in rictus. His lithe young body jerked and writhed, his red hair standing on end like a mane around his darkening face as he fell on his brother. The tiny wisps of smoke curled mockingly in a trail from the dead leaves under their bodies. Flame flickered, only to expire at the base of the masonry wall. The disappearance of the Bailey twins was declared a major crime. Local waterways and creek beds, favourites for frog spawn, were covered exhaustively. Every play park and vacant block within reasonable distance, every empty building combed and scrutinised. Neighbours and relatives all turned to with a will. Every known paedophile was brought in for interview. The parents were inconsolable. "I can see the headlines already," bemoaned the detective sergeant at CID. "Blaming the police. No bodies, no crime scene, no clues." 6 years passed. The shagginess of the bottle brush on the roundabout increased. The bushes, still untrimmed, spread in riotous profusion over their sombre secret. The native birds thrived in their seclusion. Then one wet day, a truck rolled over near the intersection. A local driver in a small red car swerved and crashed into the old wall on the roundabout. The truckie escaped with severe bruising, but the driver of the car died of a heart attack at the scene. His passenger died in hospital. The truckie blamed the overgrown shrubs on the roundabout for obscuring his view. The roundabout scored priority treatment. Workers presented themselves on site. The foreman regretted no heavy equipment was allowed. "Got a maverick power line from some old lights, so keep your eyes peeled." He found the school bag. As he bent down, his breath cleared a patch of leaf litter. A child's watch with a Harry Potter character was wrapped around a thin white bone. He jerked upright. "Oh, my God!" His colleagues mustered. His weathered face faded to grey as he held them back. They listened as he spoke on his mobile. "There's bones, kids' bones by the look of them, and some old wiring. There's a name on the bag." He explained. "About 6 years ago it was. I was on the search for the missing twins. We covered everywhere. Everywhere. Who'd check here? You tell me. Roundabouts is for going round, not on." The men stood silent, eyes fixed on what remained of the twins, and now fully exposed, the wristwatch and a jacket inscribed with the soccer team logo. The detective sergeant was now inspector. Despite years witnessing the blacker and sadder aspects of society, the needless deaths of young children still grabbed him by the throat. He hunkered down over the skeletons. Yep, it's the Bailey twins, all right. He blew his nose loudly and stood and stripped off his rubber gloves. Guess you could say the parents found them in the end. The workmen stared. The DI nodded. That prang, the double fatal, got this clean-up going. The reason we're doing all this clearance, they were the mum and dad. And you've been listening to Terra Incognita by Maureen Mitson. I'm Kim Dodsworth, Queensland storyteller. I hope you'll join me again this time next week for another short story of quality.